The moving parts of South Carolina, minus 4 days out of the way, and the analysis thereof out of the way. Let's turn to one of the principals. Senator John Edwards joining us tonight from Gaffney, South Carolina. Senator, thanks again for some of your time tonight.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for having me.
There's several things I wanted to ask you about, including our shared interest in Mr. O'Reilly's reaction to your putting the spotlight on the 200,000 homeless military vets. But I want to start with what Senator Clinton said in Philadelphia today about a unified Democratic Party. Let me just read the operative part of what she said again. Each of us has to present our case. We have to draw contrasts and comparisons, and then we have to leave it up to the voters. And as soon as we have a nominee, we will be strongly united, because the most important thing is to put a Democrat in the White House starting in January 2009. With the caveat, Senator, that saying so would not mean that you don't think she might be playing unfairly, or saying so would not mean you're hinting anything about Senator Obama. Can you agree with Senator Clinton's conclusion there that the most important thing to Democrats should be ultimate unison and victory in November behind any Democrat?
I would just say it differently, Keith. I think that if you watched the debate on Monday night, I felt like some of the bickering got to a fairly petty level, and it's why I felt like I was trying to be the grown-up, represent the grown-up part of the Democratic Party when some of the bickering was going on. No, what I actually believe, I think unity is important. Obviously, we want a Democrat in the White House. I think it goes beyond that, though. I think the change, if you're thinking about not just the Democratic Party, which we all love, but we're thinking about America, which I love more, I think that we need real and meaningful, transcendent change. And so, yes, does it matter to be unified and to be able to win in November? Of course it does. It's very important. But it also matters whether we have a nominee who will fight for the middle class, fight for universal health care in the war, who actually believes in the bold transformational changes the country needs.
I've got a question on deck here about the middle class and the poor. But one more thing about this overall subject of unity, and then I will drop it. Are we at the state where it would help every candidate right now, all three of you in here at the top, by saying you will support and you will encourage your supporters to support the Democratic nominee, no matter who it is, and that Senators Clinton and Obama should join you in saying so, maybe even before this vote is taken on Saturday?
Absolutely. I say that right now. I intend to be the nominee, so I'll hope to get the support of Senator Obama and Senator Clinton supporters, but we should absolutely support the nominee.
All right. Amen. A straight answer on that. Thank you, sir. All right. Let me ask you about the economy. Story today from Reuters. The last time we had a recession, 2001, an official one, 11.7% of Americans were living in poverty. Today, another recession is looming or has started. 12.3% of Americans are living in poverty. In other words, the poor still have not recovered from the previous recession. How come they aren't getting the attention, even the sympathy, that stock market investors seem to have gotten over the last 3 days of turbulence among the financiers?
Because there's an enormous disconnect between what's happening out here in America and Washington's obsession on what's happening on Wall Street. I mean, we go up and down with the market. We look at how much money people are making on Wall Street, what's happening with investments and investment income. And out here in South Carolina, for example, which is where I am right now, the poverty rate's going up. Middle-class families are having a terrible time paying their bills. George Bush proposes a stimulus package that leaves 50 million at least Americans out, low-income, moderate Americans. It's not surprising that this is what's happening to low-income and middle-income people in this country.
As suggested by the issue of economies, and whether it's stocks or it's the real economy, cartons of milk, your messages have clearly been resonating. Many of the things that are being talked about on the campaign trail on both sides of the political split are issues that you raised first in this campaign, but you're still up against two very well-financed candidates, each of whom would make history if elected, each of whom has been getting more votes so far. At this point, how do you overcome those last realities?
Well, I think the truth is, Keith, there's almost a direct correlation between how much vote they're getting and how much publicity they're getting. And when I get heard, if you watch the debates, for example, people who watch the debates are moving. They move in my direction. I can feel a momentum in South Carolina right now. When they show undecided voters the debates, they move toward me almost every time. And I don't think it's an accident. I also don't think it's an accident that Senator Clinton and Senator Obama have adopted so much of what I've been saying. I mean, the key for me, and it's hard, I'll admit it, I'm the underdog. You know, in this battle, I'm the underdog. There's no doubt about this. They got $100 million plus each. They got massive publicity. But I'm in this for the long haul. And if I get heard, this will work. And these causes that I'm fighting for, Keith, they're not going away. And I'm not going away either.
And one of those causes, Senator, Bill O'Reilly and the homeless vets that you have invoked throughout this campaign. I know you talked about this on David Letterman last night, and O'Reilly has already come back tonight. Yes. At first he denied there were any of them there, and he mocked you. Then he said, well, maybe they're there, but there aren't that many. Then he said, well, they're not there because of the economy. They're there because of mental illness and addiction. And he said something which was one of the more extraordinary things for him, which is saying a lot, that there was little politicians could do about mental illness and addiction. What world does he live in where politicians can do little about mental illness and addiction, or we should be satisfied with politicians who choose to do little about mental illness and addiction, especially among the vets?
No, what he seems to be suggesting, what Bill O'Reilly seems to be suggesting, is it's better if we just turn our heads. We got at least 200,000 men and women who wear a uniform, who don't have a place to sleep at night, who are sleeping in shelters or under bridges, and we're all supposed to say that's okay? Of course it's not okay. There's a great deal that America can do. We can fund the Veterans Administration in the way that we should be doing. We can give every one of our veterans the kind of evaluation for mental and physical health needs that they deserve. We can make sure that they get the health care that they deserve. It is true that some of these homeless veterans do have mental health problems. There's no doubt about that. But they need to get the mental health care that they need. And the easiest thing that we can do, and it's what we've been doing way too often, is we can just turn our heads and pretend it's not there. You know, I understand it may not be some big vote-getting issue, and it may not be what politicians want to focus on, but it's a huge moral issue facing the country. We can't let this continue. And whatever O'Reilly says, you know, he just keeps explaining away and explaining away. The reality is, it's not about him and it's not about me. This is about hundreds of thousands of people who patriotically serve this country, who deserve a real chance.
Well, of course it is all about him, but that's another subject for another time, Senator. Senator John Edwards.
For him.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Senator John Edwards, especially on that, keep throwing that out there because it needs to be said again and again. Those are our heroes. The South Carolina primary is Saturday. All the best, sir. Thanks again for your time.